Good morning, book lovers of the internet. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe because for every subscriber, I get a new subscriber and they also read a page from a book of my choice. It is the 15th of January. Half the month is already over and I haven't been getting a lot of reading done. So, welcome to the first video review of the year. And in this video, I am going to be speaking about Alice in Borderland Volume 1 by Haro Aso. I've been mentioning this manga series for a very long time on the channel. I have the first three volumes and I just ordered the rest online and I look forward to reading the whole thing. I am a massive fan of the show as well, and I think that the live action series is better than the manga one. But anyway, in this one, I am going to be speaking about the first volume, which is a two-in-one edition. In total, there are 18 books in the series, and there are 9 of these in all. So 9 times 2 would be 18, right? Alice in Borderland has to be one of my favorite manga series and live-action Netflix series of all time. And considering that it's my first read of 2025, it is also important to mention that it's a reread. This is my second time reading this. Last I read it, I was in London with my uncle and my dad, and I honestly found it to be as brilliant as it was the first time I read it more than 2 years ago. And having watched the live action Netflix show multiple times, I've evolved into an even bigger fan. In fact, I am also looking to buy the white jacket Chishiya wears in the show. Shuntaro Chishiya has to be one of my favorite characters of all time, probably one of the best um, actors, I would say. I'm pretty sure the name of the actor is Nijiro Murakami, one of the best actors in the show. Great cast overall, but it is very hard and rare to find series or shows like this one. And I'm glad that Alice in Borderland is being thrown into the spotlight thanks to the second season of Squid Game, which I also watched and reviewed on the channel. So this has to be one of the most underrated series of all time, and I want it to be read or watched by as many people as possible. So if you are watching this video and if you're a fan of the channel, make sure to drop everything you're doing right now and go and watch or read Alice in Borderland. The games are not all identical to the ones in the show. In fact, the very first game is completely different to the way it takes place in the show, but it's interesting to compare and contrast and to see how imaginative both the author of the manga series and the creators of the show are, especially when using the source material and um, doing it in a different way in certain cases. In my opinion, Alice in Borderland is way better than Squid Game, despite how much I enjoyed Squid Game. And I know it's a matter of preference and opinion, but I feel as though the show, Alice in Borderland, the show, is better than the manga series, and I wouldn't say that lightly, honestly. Um, I bought the manga because I watched the show first, and the manga just didn't live up to my expectations, considering how amazing the show truly is. Um, I still have to mention, however, that I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars, and having read it a second time, I would probably rate it even higher. And this one has, I believe, about 350 pages, more or less. So, rather quick read overall. I will be reading the rest of the series as soon as possible. I have another 2 volumes to go. I plan on reading the whole thing in 2025. As I mentioned earlier, Shuntaro Chishiya is definitely one of my favorite characters, and him being so nonchalant always makes my day. And basically, he comes across as the embodiment or the definition of don't panic. And I see a lot of myself in his character. I mean, when facing death, I've never seen somebody as calm as Chishiya, and I aspire to be that way as much as possible. The closest I've come to that feeling is before exam season when everyone is panicking, and I could care less, honestly, because I don't consider exams to be stressful. Um, you're just writing what you know, basically, so everyone else is panicking and I just don't care. That is the closest I've come, basically. I will be speaking about the show and the manga series, about the plot itself, in just a couple of seconds. So, being thrown into such a world, I wouldn't survive for long, probably. Um, there are some games which I wouldn't have been um, clever enough to solve, but I could certainly appreciate how the constant threat of being killed violently gives purpose to life and even makes those who might have wanted to die in their original lives persist. People like Arisu, for instance, who didn't have much of a reason for living before he was thrown into Borderland and before he could put um, his knowledge of video games and his critical thinking, perhaps a little bit too literally here, into practice. He was given an opportunity to do just that. Um, that is precisely the attitude I would have taken as well. Honestly, as frightening as it would be to be thrown into such a world, I think it would really give me more purpose than I have in my current life. And I would make sure to join up with some of the main characters. I would pick my friends as cleverly as possible. And of course, use my knowledge as well um, to survive for as long as I possibly can. Um, Think of me as the king of diamonds, perhaps. I'm glad that Arisu's best friends haven't yet died in the first two volumes of the manga series, because them dying in the third episode of the first season of the show broke my heart entirely, and I haven't yet recovered. This isn't much of a spoiler because um, it happens towards the very beginning of the show, and you wouldn't really expect them to kill off the main cast, really, but that's just the way it happens, and my heart is still broken over that. It's part of the reason as to why I feel so hollow inside. And the beach hasn't yet been introduced either. I feel as though the beach arc in Alice in Borderland is probably um, one of the better arcs in the entire series. And Chishia is absolutely amazing because he loots cards from eliminated players, and that isn't something that would have crossed my mind. I'm not sure whether I would have been in a proper enough state of mind to take cards from dead characters, despite them not needing them anymore, so it's a completely logical thing to do. I mean, I think of him as an absolute genius, and I'm definitely a Chishiya stan, whether you consider him to be a villain or not. I mean, basically, Alice in Borderland is all about this guy called Arisu and some of his friends who end up living in this futuristic world where they have to um, they have to complete games in order to survive, and they are always put under the threat of being killed, because if they don't play enough games after a couple of days a massive red laser from the sky will shoot down and obliterate you. So the games, I feel as though they are very cleverly constructed, and I look forward to seeing more games in the manga series which weren't in the show. They are completely frightening, and some people work best when put under pressure. I consider myself to be one of those people, considering how much of a professional procrastinator I am. Other people tend to break under pressure and are the first to die. I mean, in such situations, I think it would be best to try to keep a clear mind, think cleverly and logically, rather than worry about the problem of dying, because all the games seem to have some sort of solution to them. Otherwise, um, it would be unfair. I feel as though fairness is still quite a big part um, of the game. Even the hard games have a certain level of fairness because it's all based on people's decisions and whether they are meant to betray each other or not. Um, it has to do with the people you pair up with, has to do with your physical strength, your mental capacity. Um, all around, it basically gives purpose to a life which otherwise wouldn't have had purpose, probably. But that is all I had to say about Alice in Borderland, Volume 1 by Haro. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Um, take a look at the rest of my videos because why not? They are absolutely amazing. And I will see you in the next one, hopefully, very, very soon. Bye, guys.